The galaxy is vast, filled with countless civilizations, some older than the stars themselves, others still struggling to hold on to their place in the universe. To the established empires, the galaxy was a place of order, power, and an unspoken hierarchy. Most species kept to their own corner of the stars, following the laws and traditions of the Galactic Council. But then there was Earth, a small, insignificant planet, tucked away in a remote corner of the universe, completely off the radar of the galactic elites. For centuries, humanity had been isolated, locked in its own cycle of war, peace, and development, with no awareness of the vast powers that surrounded it. In their own solar system, humans were still coming to terms with their history, mastering the technology of their own world. They had just begun exploring beyond their home planet, with colonies on Mars and plans to reach further. But in the grand scheme of things, humanity seemed like nothing more than a blip, a primitive species on the edge of the galactic map. That was until the invaders came. The first wave of alien ships entered Earth's atmosphere without warning. They were sleek, advanced, and out of this world, ships made of materials unknown to humans, their engines humming with energy far beyond anything humanity had achieved. The invaders were the Skari, a ruthless, militaristic species from a distant star system. The Skari had seen Earth as nothing more than an easy target, a world ripe for colonization, its inhabitants primitive and easily controlled. The Skari had conquered countless planets before, and their reputation for exterminating or enslaving weaker species was known throughout the galaxy. Earth, they assumed, would fall like so many others. The Skari landed in the heart of major human cities, deploying their shock troops and their advanced technology to crush any resistance. They were powerful, organized, and sure of their victory. They deployed their advanced weaponry, energy cannons, force fields, and biological agents that could wipe out entire populations in an instant. Humanity, to them, was nothing more than an obstacle to be removed. But what the Skari did not account for was that the humans they were facing were not the helpless creatures they thought them to be. The first sign that the invasion was not going as planned came when the Skari shock troops were ambushed by an underground resistance group. The Skari had expected a few scattered acts of defiance, maybe even some guerrilla tactics, but nothing could have prepared them for the ferocity with which humans fought back. Armed with a combination of improvised weapons and alien technology they had scavenged from previous failed attempts at conquest, humanity proved that they were far from helpless. The Skari were used to quick victories, not protracted, brutal warfare, and the humans' will to defend their home seemed endless. Human resistance movements started popping up in cities all over the globe. They were led by ordinary men and women who had no formal military training, but knew how to survive and fight for what they loved. It wasn't about advanced technology or high-tech weaponry. It was about sheer, unrelenting willpower. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't in their technology. It was in their ability to adapt, to fight tooth and nail for survival, and to never back down from a fight. They were survivors, not just physically but mentally, psychologically. The Skari were confused by this tenacity. They had never encountered a species that didn't buckle under pressure, that didn't simply fall in line when faced with overwhelming force. Then came the moment that changed everything. As the invasion spread, humanity's underground forces found something that would change the tide of the war. A downed Skari warship, wrecked in an early skirmish. The human resistance wasted no time in scavenging everything they could from the ship. Engineers, scientists, and soldiers worked together, reverse engineering the alien technology with an intensity born of desperation. They created makeshift weapons, modified human craft, and eventually, they were able to build war machines that rivaled the Skari's finest. The Skari's advanced tech, once thought to be a barrier to humanity's victory, became their greatest tool in turning the tide of the war. And that's when the real shock came. The human military, once limited to basic aircraft and ground forces, now had access to advanced alien technology. They built their own ships, crude at first but powerful enough to strike at the heart of the Skari fleet. What the Skari hadn't counted on was humanity's ability to improvise, to use their own limitations as advantages. Their ships were not sleek, elegant, or built for efficiency. They were heavy, clunky, and powered by salvaged engines. But they had one thing the Skari didn't: the sheer audacity to throw everything into a battle they had no right to win. The Skari fleet, initially confident in their superiority, began to take losses. Humanity, now armed with their own spacefaring ships, launched surprise attacks, hitting Skari outposts and supply lines with ruthless precision. The Skari had never been forced to fight on this kind of scale before. A war not just of technology, but of strategy, adaptability, and relentless fighting spirit. It didn't take long for the Scari High Command to realize they had underestimated humanity in the most catastrophic way. They sent in reinforcements, massive fleets to crush the human rebellion once and for all. But the more they sent, the more they encountered the same thing. Humans weren't just fighting to survive, they were fighting to protect their home. And that was something the Scari could never understand. What followed was a brutal series of skirmishes and battles that spread across Earth's surface and into space. Humans turned the tide, pushing the Scari back with each battle. The aliens, so accustomed to ruling without opposition, now found themselves fighting for survival against a race they thought beneath them. Finally, after months of fighting, the humans had their chance. They launched a daring strike on the Scari flagship, deep within Earth's orbit. The battle was fierce, but humanity, now fully equipped with advanced weapons, tactics, and the element of surprise, overwhelmed the Scari. The flagship was destroyed, and the remaining Scari forces, leaderless and scattered, retreated from Earth. The war was over. Humanity had not only repelled the invaders, but they had also sent a message to the galaxy. Earth was not a planet to be trifled with. The Scari, once confident in their superiority, were forced to acknowledge the power of the human race. Earth's invaders were now a distant memory, and the galaxy had learned an invaluable lesson: never underestimate humanity. In the aftermath of the war, humanity's rise began. No longer a forgotten backwater planet, Earth became a hub of resistance, innovation, and defiance. The humans who had once been thought of as primitive spacefarers were now regarded with a mixture of awe and fear across the galaxy. No one would dare think of conquering Earth again, because if there was one thing the galaxy learned the hard way, it was this: conquer Earth? Yeah, not so fast, buddy.